Hello, and welcome back to the Liquidity CEO. Before we move on, I want to be clear about something. If daily liquidity discipline feels heavy, that is not a failure of will. It's a signal. It means the system is asking discipline to do the job of design, and discipline was never meant to carry scale on its own. In the next module, we move from behavior to structure. Because the real question is not, how do I stay disciplined? The real question is, why does this system require so much effort to hold together? And that's where we go next. Module 4, from discipline to design. Before we go any further, we need to make another shift. Now, in the previous model, we focused on discipline. Daily awareness, cadence, behavior under pressure. Now that work is necessary, but discipline alone cannot carry scale. Many leaders hear the word discipline and assume the burden is personal. They think, I just need to be more consistent. I need to stay closer. I need to work harder. Now that assumption is dangerous because effort does not scale. Structure does. If discipline is required for a system to survive, the system is already strained. Discipline should stabilize a system, not prop it up. This module is not about doing more. It's about designing better. It's about identifying where leadership has been compensating with effort for what should have been handled by structure. If the previous model helped you see how daily liquidity discipline restores clarity, this module will help you understand why clarity collapses when systems are under-designed. Do not listen to this model through the lens of personal performance, but listen through the lens of architecture. Because what follows is not a critique of leadership. It is a blueprint for sustainability. And with that context set, let's talk about why most systems collapse at scale. Module 4, why most systems collapse at scale. Growth is not the problem. Growth is the test. Most organizations don't fail because they stop growing. They fail because growth exposes what leadership never finished designing. Small systems survive on effort. Large systems survive on structure. And when effort is mistaken for structure, scale becomes dangerous. Early success hides system weaknesses. Founders compensate with hustle. Leaders compensate with presence. Teams compensate with goodwill. But compensation is not sustainability. Here's the pattern. An organization grows. Revenue increases. Headcount increases. Demand increases. And leadership feels needed everywhere. That feeling is not important. It is exposure. If a system requires your presence to function, it is not scalable. It's fragile. Presence-dependent systems create leadership bottlenecks. Bottlenecks slow decisions. Slow decisions increase costs. Increased costs stresses liquidity. This is how systems collapse quietly. Most leaders do not resist systems. They postpone them. They say, we'll formalize later. We're still early. We don't want bureaucracy. We'll fix that once we grow. Growth does not simplify. It amplifies. Let's make this concrete. A leader personally approves hiring, spending, schedule changes, escalations. At small scale, this feels responsible. At scale, it becomes paralysis. The leader becomes the system. And when the leader becomes the system, everything waits. This is not a leadership strength. It is a design failure. Rules are not restrictions. Rules are protection. They protect teams from ambiguity. They protect leaders from constant interruption. They protect liquidity from emotional decisions. When rules are absent, leaders become the rule. That is not leadership. That is liability. Many leaders confuse flexibility with freedom. They avoid rules to stay agile, but agility without structure is chaos at scale. Rules do not remove judgment. They preserve it. Capacity is a leadership choice. It's not determined by demand. Demand will always exceed design. Capacity is determined by what the system can absorb without destabilizing liquidity. When leaders say yes without capacity, they borrow from the future. And the interest is paid in stress, turnover, and cash strain. Here's a familiar example. A service organization expands programs because demand exists. Staffing increases immediately. Training lags. Supervision stretches. And on paper, growth looks healthy. In practice, leadership bandwidth collapses. That collapse is not caused by growth. It's caused by unmanaged capacity. Another example, a transportation or logistics operation adds routes or contracts. Vehicles and drivers are deployed, but maintenance, scheduling, and cash timing were never redesigned for scale. Leadership becomes reactive. Breakdowns feel constant. Margins thin. This is not bad execution. This is insufficient design. Systems collapse when leadership confuses effort with design. Design scales. Effort exhausts. Liquidity suffers under exhaustion. Most collapses at scale are not dramatic. They're gradual. Margins thin quietly, decisions slow subtly, key people burn out silently, cash timing tightens incrementally. Leadership feels tired without knowing why. The system is speaking. When leaders feel constantly on, that's not dedication. That is a warning. It means the system cannot operate without them. Strong leaders do not aim to be indispensable. They aim to be unnecessary. Not irrelevant, but unnecessary. This is the shift. From hero to architect. From firefighter to designer. From reacting to governing. If growth feels heavier instead of lighter, the system is under-designed. If leadership feels busier instead of clearer, structure is missing. If liquidity tightens as revenue grows, scale is exposing fragility. Systems do not fail randomly. They fail predictably when leadership delays design. Now, this module exists to remove shame. System collapse is not a character flaw. It is a design consequence, and design can be changed. Now, in the next module, we'll complete the leadership shift from chasing to governing, from effort to structure, from reaction to control. But for now, I want you to sit with this truth. You cannot scale what you have not designed. And leadership maturity is measured by how well systems hold when you step back. That is why most systems collapse at scale.